Hi, everybody out there. Hope you're having a good day, good morning, or afternoon. I know that we had Mr. Taylor. He was a little bit busy with some chores and stuff today. Hope he can join us on here soon. We got Orc. It's an hour later over there, so I hope you had a nice McGriddle. Orc, and you can join the live stream if possible. If not, I'm planning on live streaming a commentary later today. It will be my first full one. Uh, and I'm going to select from a variety of different movies. I haven't really selected yet. Could, as the video goes on and I think of some more options, go ahead and list some of the options. And if people have a particular one that they would like to see me do the commentary for, that'd be great. We have a guy, Mr. Taylor, as I referred to earlier. He's done so many commentaries, but I don't know how to play them just yet. So I'm looking forward to finding those commentaries and listening to them. But I was looking through like the lists of what he had, and wow, great job! That's quite impressive. And I too am a big fan of the Munsters, as I believe he is. Anyway, hope everyone out there is having a great day. Um, that would go to TH in Finland, Mr. James down there in England, Mehmet in Agadir, Morocco, even over to me up in Australia, and our people in the States, such as Jay the Stingray, and hopefully others checking out the channel. I'll make sure I'm not leaving anyone off. And then, of course, we got Bubba Wubba over here. It's just a big bundle of nerves sometimes. Just a big bundle of nerves. Bundle of nerves. Bundle of nerves. Gets a little edgy. It's pretty cold. We're staying in if we can. Got to go do an errand. Seeing if I can put it off till tomorrow. But it's a health related errand, so it would improve my health if I got the errand done and came back. But we'll see. um, it is damn cold out here. I hope everyone stay safe and staying away from the frostbite and stuff like that. Anyway, I hope you're all having a good day. Um, Watched Rocky 1 and the commentary for it, and then Rocky 2 I'm watching now, and that's written and directed by Sylvester Stallone. So I'm trying to get the inside scoop on why John Ableton wouldn't want to make Rocky 2. If anyone out there, I know there's Steven Seagal that usually has a lot of information on the Sausage Factory and Pizza Stream and stuff like that about movies. Opening it up to anyone. If anyone knows the real story about why John Avildsen didn't make Rocky 2, just let me know. Was it about money? Was it about that Stallone wanted to have, full director? Was there fights that went on between him and him? I mean, everyone says it's all peaches, as you're watching the commentary and you're learning more about the movie, but clearly he never had anything to do with the franchise again. So he would go on to make Karate Kid 1, 2, and 3. So it's not like he was averse to sequels necessarily, or maybe he was like, oh, I should have gone on the Rocky movies, and now I'm going to do every Karate Kid movie. I happen to really love Karate Kid 2. It's my favorite of the franchise. So anyway, I don't know. I'd like to get more information on that. I found a rare or a movie I'd never heard of by Talia Shire that stars Talia Shire called Windows that got some flack, I guess, in 1978 when it was released. But looking forward to watching that on YouTube. Obviously, can't make a commentary for that one, but that has to do with some pretty lurid subject matter. So if you guys want to Google Windows 1978 movie, let me know what you think of it. I would love to have some kind of discussion about that because it seemed like that was Talia Shire's very, very real attempt to take her career in a far different direction than the Rocky movies were taking them. And it didn't pay off for her, but still, I'd like to see it. It's kind of like a movie I never heard of. There's it didn't have as much of a backlash as the one that had Farrah Fawcett in it. That's about her being raped in the 1980s. I can't remember the name of it. But anyway, it does have some similar themes to that one and didn't go over well and got a lot of Raspberry Awards. So I'm usually attracted to a lot of the movies in the 70s and 80s that got a lot of Raspberry Awards. So I'm looking forward to watching that one. and The Formula, which I think John Avildsen actually made in 1978. So the 1978 Razzies were split between this particular Talia Shire movie I mentioned and this particular John Avildsen movie, The Formula, which starred Marlon Brando and George C. Scott, among many others. So I find that to be fascinating. Just 2 years earlier, of course, they were in the Lion's Den with, or whatever, they were in Glory Land, whatever you want to call it. Euphemism for doing really good. They were doing really good, and they won the Oscars. 3 out of 10, but still they won Best Picture, Best Director, and I believe Best Score. I hope it won Best Score. But Burt Young nominated, didn't win. Burgess Meredith nominated, didn't win. Talia Shire nominated, didn't win. And Sylvester nominated, didn't win. Notable, but most important of all, is they won Best Picture. It was a very strong year for acting overall. So I could see, Jason Robards winning it, I guess. But Jason Robards won 2 in 2 years. He won for All the President's Men and then for playing Dashiell Hammett in Julia. I love that Jason Robards won 2 in a row, but honestly, Burt Young and Burgess Meredith did some unbelievable work in the first Rocky movie, among many others. What is quite remarkable to me is Burt Young almost looks like a different person between Rocky 1 and Rocky 2. I mean, and he's still alive now, and he looks pretty different even now. I had thought that he had passed away a couple years ago, but he's only 79 or so. He's not that old. Like, I thought he was a lot older. But 79 is pretty old. So anyway, like I say, I hope everyone's having a good day out there. I felt better, but I don't really care. I'm gonna keep making videos and talking on here, and hope everyone's having a good day. Mission Impossible Fallout. What a beautiful poster it is. Could have been even better, but I like the poster as it is. Hellfest, still haven't seen it. And then we got Bad Times at El Royale. Has anyone seen that movie? Looking forward to watching it. Maybe pick it up eventually. I shut down my Amazon, as I mentioned, but there's a bunch of movies I'd like to buy on there, so I may. I don't know. Anyone out there in the comments, let me know where you buy your DVDs and Blu-rays online. What's the best service besides Amazon? Do you ever order through BarnesandNoble.com? Because I do see that they have some good deals that they're offering. Anyway, this is the kind of stuff I'd like to know, and I do appreciate it. All right, we got no one out there in the chat, but that's fine. Why don't I do these 2 reviews real quick? Obviously, I really like Tom Cruise quite a lot, and we had all sorts of movies with him during the 80s, but one movie that, for whatever reason, I think it's still underrated. I don't really know at this point if it is what am I trying to say? It's very underrated. I don't really know if it's just because of the comparisons between it and Top Gun, like this is the Top Gun of race cars or whatever. I don't find that that's accurate. I find this is the Days of Thunder of Days of Thunder. You know what I'm saying? It's its own movie. And Steve Kometko. Wow, I knew Steve Kometko back in the day. Steve Kometko says this is the best movie of the summer in 1989 or 1990. Interesting. Best movie of the summer in 1990. Best movie of the summer of 1990. Well, Dick Tracy came out that year. I would say I like Days of Thunder better than Dick Tracy, but it's close. Arachnophobia came out that year. Hard to compare Days of Thunder to Arachnophobia. It's just 2 different movies. So I don't know. Steve Kometko, 4 stars. Wow. I love the movie, but it's hard to say it's the best movie of the summer. But anyway, I definitely love Days of Thunder. From the engine roar and fever pitch of professional stock car racing, Days of Thunder explodes with the most spectacular racing action ever captured on film. Tom Cruise plays race car driver Cole Trickle, whose talent and ambition are surpassed by only by his burning need to win. He got a need for speed. Discovered by businessman Tim Dayland, played by Randy Quaid very well. Cole is teamed with legendary crew chief and car builder Harry Hogg played by Robert Duvall, Academy Award winner Robert Duvall, a multiple-time nominee, to race for the Winston Cup at the Daytona 500. And Randy Quaid also a nominee in the past. A fiery crash nearly ends Cole's career, and he must turn to a beautiful doctor, Nicole Kidman, to regain his nerve and the true courage needed to win and to live. Robert Towne, who I know, he wrote Chinatown. He wrote a variety of other movies. And this was his story. He came up with it with Tom Cruise. Robert Towne and him have gone on to make all sorts of movies. A movie that I was on the set of called Without Limits. At the time it was being made, it was called Free. I met Robert Towne during that. That was quite a while back, but definitely shows that, man, they've known each other for almost 30 plus years. So it's pretty impressive. Carrie Elwes does a really good job in this movie. A great score by Hans Zimmer, probably one of my favorite. It's directed by the late Tony Scott. So, I mean, obviously the comparisons between Top Gun and this are real because you got Simpson and Bruckheimer as the producers and Paramount making it and all that, and Tony Scott. And did it do as well as Top Gun? No, definitely not. But is it more watchable? I think so. I mean, pretty darn good movie. Some people maybe have a hard time relating to Tom Cruise in some movies. You really relate to Cole Trickle. You really relate to the various characters in it. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, John C. Reilly is in it. So then when he's in Talladega Nights years later, that's kind of a funny little deal. But I hope people out there have seen Days of Thunder. It's not like I want to spoil anything too much about it. It's not like the most secretive plot in the world, but you should see it and experience it for yourself. It definitely, for me, lived up to the hype, and then for years would watch it, and very glad to own it. The Mellow Yellow Car by Cole Trickle. Buy some shirt or some. It'd be really cool to get that logo and everything as he has it in the movie. It's a perfect product of its time. He's sponsored by, what I mean by all that is he's sponsored by the soft drink company Mellow Yellow, and that all the different gear with Mellow Yellow on it, all the racing jackets and all that. I'd love to get one of those and just maybe dress as Cole Trickle sometime. What a cool name though. Kind of sounds like something's wrong with him. Cole Trickle. But I highly recommend it. Joel Siegel says, comes on like thunder. It's a winner. It's a winner. Weird quote that is. It's 107 minutes. It was made in 1990. I think it was in May of 1990 that it came out. Without knowing or without looking, I think it made only about 85 or 90 million domestically. They expected more, but hey, it's all good. DuckTales came out the same summer as this. Just trying to go over other movies that came out in 1990. DuckTales came out in August of 1990, I believe. I really enjoyed that one. But I would, I mean, it's hard to rank Days of Thunder among other movies because is it a perfect movie? No, but it's definitely one that you really enjoy the experience of watching, and even with its flaws. What are some of its flaws? I guess somewhat predictable. I don't really think it has too many flaws. I guess what movie isn't predictable when it's about sports. Spectacular racing action ever captured on film. Yeah, some really good ones. Some really good scenes in Talladega Nights as well. Thank you for joining me, whoever you are. Please identify yourself in the chat. We have Days of Thunder being discussed right now. I'm discussing Tom Cruise's work in Days of Thunder. Just going over some of the movies of 1990, the summer of 1990, because an old buddy of mine, Steve Kometko, formerly of CBS Los Angeles, he says this at the time. He said this is the best movie of the summer. So that was the summer of Dick Tracy, summer of Arachnophobia, summer of DuckTales the movie, and a couple other films as well. I'm having a hard time remember all of 1990, but I think One that it's definitely better than is Hunt for Red October. What a slog that movie is. I know there's people out there that like enjoy Hunt for Red October, but I find it really a bitch to sit through. So that's clearly a better performing movie than what I just mentioned. Days of Thunder was a better. No, Days of Thunder made slightly less money than Hunt for Red October. That's what's so strange about it. Hunt for Red October made, I think, 110 million or 105 million. Days of Thunder made like 85 or 90 million. We have two viewers out there. Yeah, we're just discussing Days of Thunder. We're Days of Thunder here. Days of Thunder, the Tom Cruise movie. Old buddy of mine, Steve Kometko of CBS Los Angeles, says this is the best movie of the summer of 1990. And it was not the most profitable. Hunt for Red October made about 110, 115 million. But that's a real slog to sit through, as I mentioned. I don't really find Hunt for Red October to be one of my favorite movies, even of 1990 or even of that summer. Some of the other ones that I really like of that summer are Arachnophobia, DuckTales, Dick Tracy. Oh, other 1990 summer ones. One that I've come to like quite a lot, I believe, was in that summer. Yeah, Presumed Innocent. I really enjoy the book and I really enjoy the movie. Never saw it at the time. I believe that was in July of 1990, and then sadly he comes to the well a year later with Regarding Henry, which was like a critically savaged movie for Harrison Ford. I believe that was in 91, and then 90 was Presumed Innocent. So you're talking about the summer of 1990, 29 years ago. This movie definitely still resonates, definitely is still very impressive. There definitely hasn't been any more great race car or serious race car movies since, in my opinion, that are worthwhile. I didn't enjoy Rush. I totally enjoyed Talladega Nights, but that's a comedy. Name a good NASCAR movie. There isn't. So this is it. This is a definitive NASCAR movie. I'm not even that big of a NASCAR fan, but I really enjoy this. And props to Rambo Wrath out there who loves Mellow Yellow. Hope everyone's doing well out there. I got 2 watchers. Anyone want to talk in the live chat? I'm trying to do a Google Chat Hangout in a little while. So if you're interested, you can just message me on this chat and we can set up, a Google Chat Hangout either today or on Wednesday. I'm planning on doing a movie commentary a little bit later. So in my mind, I'm selecting from different movies I might do the commentary for. Could possibly do it for this one. I'd like to do it on a movie that I have a little bit more special features for. So if anyone knows a good home media release for Days of Thunder, I picked this one up from Cinema Sickness. But I would like to get like some more special features on the making of Days of Thunder for sure. So we got 2 watchers out there. Hope you all doing good. Let me know what you're up to out there. It's about a beautiful day out here, of course. And also, so we're going to do 2 reviews today. Second review is General's Daughter. And I am so fond of this movie. I have such fondness for this movie. From Clarence Williams III to James Cromwell's performance in it to Madeline Stowe. So the great John Travolta in this one. And this one is a loaded DVD. Commentary by director Simon West. Bunch of deleted scenes that give you more context to what's going on in the movie. 2 theatrical trailers and a pretty good behind-the-scenes featurette. This movie with James Woods, what a performance as well. Produced by Mace Neufeld, one of my favorite producers in Hollywood. Screenplay was touched up by William Goldman. God bless him. What a wonderful, wonderful man. A big influence on my life. And many other people's life as well. Peter Menzies Jr. does a really good job with the cinematography in this film. So what is The General's Daughter? Maybe you haven't seen it. It made almost 100 million in 1999 and had a big budget because of Travolta and the era and everything like that. But it definitely was profitable, and I think it led to Simon West directing Tomb Raider 1, and obviously the sequel, I believe, as well, for Paramount. Because Simon West had just come off of making Con Air. So he made Con Air, and then he made General's Daughter, and those are 2 very profitable movies, very popular movies in the era. So if you've never heard of General's Daughter, and now I only have one viewer out there. Hi, viewer. How are you? If you're in the chat and want to talk, that's fine. If not, I hope you're having a great afternoon or evening or morning. John Travolta delivers another powerhouse performance. So this is in the era where he's just on fire. John Travolta delivers another powerhouse performance. Gene Wolfe's Hollywood. Yeah, Gene Wolfe. God, I don't know if she's still around, but she's quite a nice lady. Go Behind the Lies. All right. Nelson DeMille was a writer, or is a writer. I don't know if he's alive or not. This was a book, and I have other books by him. I haven't read The General's Daughter, but I've read one called Plum Island that I think would be a wonderful, wonderful movie. Probably change the title though. I don't know if this was the title of this book. Yeah, based on the novel. Yeah. Also, Jonathan D. Crane, really good producer as well, helped make this movie. But let's focus on the story. There's the right way, the wrong way, and the army way. But then there's something else because I can't read the whole description. But basically, military investigator Paul Brenner is going to uncover a cover-up at Fort McCallum as officials try to hide the motive behind the brutal murder of a beautiful female officer. Travolta's magnetic performance sparks this thriller featuring an all-star cast. I don't know if you'd call it a magnetic performance. I don't disagree that he has magnetism, but I wouldn't say that that's the main thing. I'd say it's a kind of like how you're rooting for Gary Cooper in High Noon. That's what you do. It's not really magnetism. It's more you're wanting this guy to do the right thing. You're wanting him to clean up different elements of his life. But all in all, he lives on a boat. He's happy how he is. He used to be with Madeline Stowe. But most important to him is his job. You admire those qualities about him. And I don't really say that it's a magnetic performance. Sorry. It's a great performance, but there's not a lot of there's charm, there's magnetism, but I wouldn't say that that's even the top 10 of qualities. I would say earnestness, charm, determination, cunning. He's very cunning in this movie. Very cunning performance as an actor and as the character. Very, like I said, very determined. A very determined performance is what I would say. He really had a goal with what he was going to do with his character and the role. As an actor, you could really tell in every scene he's just basically trying to own the character and basically make it clear that he's going to overcome these obstacles to find the truth, regardless of if it burns bridges in the army. And that's the main thing about this: is it's an army cover-up. It's an army cover-up about what's going on, and they're telling him, "Hey, man, you just toe the line, and we'll find a fall guy for this or that or whatever." And you don't ask too many questions. It's the general's daughter. It's the general's daughter that's dead. Blah 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 blah. So, if you've never seen this movie, you got to check it out. It's a really good movie. I believe the year before this or the year after, he made a civil action, and I didn't see that at the time. I was on the set of that movie as it was getting made, though. And I always wanted to watch it. And the times I have seen it, I still don't even own it. I find it to be a wonderfully underrated movie. A really wonderfully underrated movie. I believe Stanley Tucci's in it. Robert Duvall, who was nominated for that film, in addition to how we just said he was in Days of Thunder. So Robert Duvall is a very decorated actor through the years, a winner for Tender Mercies in 1983. He would then get nominated, I believe, for The Judge several years back, with Robert Downey Jr. He'd get nominated back in the day with a civil action, and then also another one called The Apostle, where he's a preacher on hard times, basically, or a preacher that's in a moral conflict. That's a tremendous performance, and he probably should have won for that. So we got no one out there in the chat now. I hope everyone's enjoyed their experience of participating in the video and seeing what I was talking about. And we'll have this on there for the later for everyone else. But here's another description that I wouldn't exactly characterize as correct. A steamy game of cat and mouse that will keep you guessing until the surprising and explosive end. Game of cat and mouse, I agree with. Keep you guessing until the surprising and explosive ending. For the most part, you may end up guessing correctly, but you may guess wrong too. There's quite a lot of hints you can pick up on in the film. But I wouldn't call this movie steamy. I wouldn't call this movie steamy. I don't know why they're these words. Steamy? This movie? No. There's not a steamy sex scene between Stowe and Travolta. There's actually some brutal scenes between uh, masked assailants and the murder victim, and masked assailants and Madeline Stowe. So I would describe this as more of a brutal game of cat and mouse, not steamy. I think that's a mischaracterization. James Cromwell, she was at a crowded field for Oscars that year in supporting actor. Yes, I guess with oh gosh, I think Haley Joel Osment that year, and maybe Michael Caine would win for Cider House Rules. If that's the wrong year, I'm sorry. But I feel that Mr. Cromwell did a nomination-worthy performance in this film. Was it, an Oscar bait type film? No, it was released in June, and he was forgotten, and he had already been nominated in the past for Babe, so they're like, oh, whatever. But yeah, I mean, we got Timothy Hutton in this movie too, a former supporting actor winner. So definitely check it out. I think the music by Carter Burwell is a total strength of the movie. The opening credits they take these old Southern, I don't even know, maybe they date back to Africa or they date back to like old times, old songs, and they repurpose them. I don't really know how to say it. The Simon West describes it really well on the DVD making of. And it's fascinating that he heard these songs and then obviously made some different orchestration changes to them with Carter Burwell and himself and came up with a really unique soundtrack and sound for this movie. Like, I can't think of another thriller that has as good of like score and modification of existing songs, I guess you would say. I don't know the words, so I'm just kind of imitating it, but that's how it goes. Like that. So, hi. I was just imitating this song for General's Daughter. It is modified music that they kind of put in a different spin on it for the score, and it repeats throughout the movie. I find them to be very effective. I think Clarence Williams III, if there was a nomination for Best Supporting Actor, like very small role that should get some kind of recognition, maybe just a half a statue or something, then you should get him for Clarence Williams III. He did really, 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 really good in this movie. If it wasn't for that kind of role working, then the rest of the movie probably wouldn't work. That's how good he is in it. James Woods, very effective. Wish he could get cast in more mainstream movies still, but obviously that ship sailed. So yeah, that's that. I highly recommend that you listen to the commentary for Simon West and The General's Daughter. I think it's a very underrated movie. Is it perfect or nothing like that? No, but in terms of thrillers of the 90s, you hardly ever hear, or in terms of great Travolta performances of the 90s, you hardly hear anyone discuss it. You know, he had some flops in the 90s, among them White Man's Burden, Mad City, Lucky Numbers, which would probably come a little bit later. But he had his big hits, too. This was a big hit. Phenomenon was a big hit. Clearly, tail end of the 80s, Look Who's Talking was a big hit. Look Who's Talking 2 was a big hit. Look Who's Talking Now was not a big hit, but then Pulp Fiction resurrected him. Get Shorty was a big hit. But people don't often discuss a civil action, which did receive Oscar nominations, or this one. I think his performance in A Civil Action was ignored by the Oscars. I don't really know why. They clearly saw the movie. They clearly nominated Robert Duvall, but they clearly didn't realize how good of a performance Mr. Travolta was giving in that film. So those are two brief or kind of longer movie reviews for them. I didn't really describe too much of what goes on in this. Madeline Stowe plays. Who does she play? She plays someone that's investigating more on the civilian angle, and then I think that's what it. And then Travolta's playing more the military guy, and they've obviously dated in the past, and they're trying to resolve the case or figure out clues to the case. The woman who plays the general's daughter. Man, I'm looking forward to when. Okay, because she was married to James Spader for a little while, and they had some children together. I think they should act. Because you imagine that James Spader, next generation with this beautiful blonde woman from General's Daughter, didn't really act in too much else that I know of. Kind of resembles Vicky from Three's a Crowd, the Three's Company spinoff. She kind of resembles Vicky from Three's a Crowd, but obviously she's much younger than Vicky from Three's a Crowd, because Vicky from Three's a Crowd is probably pushing 50 around the late 90s, at least in her 40s. And then obviously the lady that plays the general's daughter, I can't think of her name right now, but she did a really good job. It's a dark movie, so she did a really good job. Puts off one vibe, but obviously it's some other stuff going on with her. So she was in her 20s at the time. I've never really seen her act too much. I know that she and James Spader are no longer together, as far as I know, but they had a couple, or at least one child. So let's start working on the next generation of Spader actors, huh? Anyway, I hope everyone's doing good out there. I got one person out there. I don't know if there's been any chat, so let's see. Is there any chat so far? Hi, welcome to the live chat. Let me see if I can type something in the chat. Hide all chat messages. No, I don't want to do that. Oh, hi. Anyone out there in the chat? Hope you're having a good day out there. Just reviewed two movies. They were The General's Daughter and Days of Thunder. And both made by Paramount, coincidentally. Paramount is really struggling these days. Really, really struggling. If it wasn't for China floating them all sorts of money, if it wasn't for a guy named David Ellison of Skydance making various deals with Paramount through China, basically, then I don't know what Paramount would be. They'd probably been bought up or sold for parts, but 90s, 80s, even into the 2000s, Paramount was doing pretty good, you know. In the 80s, you got the Beverly Hills Cop movies, I'm pretty sure. And then in the 90s, got a bunch of stuff that worked pretty good for them. And, you know, clearly, they made the Indiana Jones franchise, thinking that they wanted to do more of those. And then after the Crystal Skull kind of did what it did, Paramount's just been kind of franchise starved. We got Mission Impossible as their only real franchise now. So, that being said, this was a pretty quick little session. I hope we had a fun time with everyone there. Now, I'll go ahead and sign off for right now and come back on a little bit later, and we'll talk about some more.